And it popped up that there was going to be the Tokyo Night Festival in Houston, and that they were going to have sumo going on at the festival. But I didn't realize it was a tournament, right? I thought that they just had like this Tokyo festival that had sumo in it. And I was like, that's awesome. I'm going to get me and a friend, we're going to go watch it and go see some sumo. And then I realized once I looked it up to go find some more information on it that it's a sumo open. And I was like, wait a minute, that means it's a tournament that you can sign up for. So I looked into what the requirements were to sign up for. It was in like 2 weeks from that time that I looked it up, which was crazy timing. It was destiny. And all I had to do was get like a United States Sumo Federation card, which is kind of like a USA Wrestling card or like a USA Boxing card. You have to get like your little registration and insurance so you can't sue them if you get hurt in a tournament or something. And paid my little thing for that, paid my entry fee for the tournament, and we were going to do it at Tokyo Night Festival on day 2. And it was going to be a cash prize for like a open weight women's and open weight men's bracket. And the prize was $200, but then somebody matched it and made it $400 for each one. And I was like, holy crap, like I could win $400 in this sumo tournament that I just heard about 2 weeks ago. Like, this is legit. I need to actually like kind of prepare for this. I mean, my coach did like a little mini sumo practice, kind of went over some stuff, and day of the tournament, I was checking in with the guy running it. He's actually the Shogeki Sumo, the only Houston Sumo club. He's the runner of that. And so I texted him and I was like, hey, is everything still going on? Where do I need to be? And he's like, it had rained a lot that day, and it was going to be on these fairgrounds that were on top of like pretty much like clay or like silt, and so it turned into mud pretty quickly. And so they were like, yeah, we're not going to really be able to do the tournament on top of mud with this mat thing, so we're trying to find somewhere else to go. I was like, well, I have a giant gym, a huge gym that has a huge wrestling mat that you guys can set up this mat on, and then we can just do it there. And they're like, well, is the owner of the gym okay with that? I was like, listen, he is more than okay with that. Like, I haven't even spoken to him yet, but I can tell you right now he's okay with it. Let me call him now. I called Jeremy, and he was like, oh my God, absolutely, you can have it. And I need to go home and get my sumo shirt on. So we pulled up at the gym, and they just set up the tournament. A ton of people came. I think it was like probably like 50 to 60 competitors, it looked like, that came for this tournament. It was huge. And the gym was pretty full. My coach was super excited about it. He brought his daughter, who also loves sumo. They were both wearing their sumo shirts. And it was really cool to have him coach me and like corner me for that. And that day I had 4 other girls that I competed against. There's 5 girls in the open weight bracket. And the girls, I was definitely the smallest girl. And it was like all ranging in sizes and weights. And I just went in there with like a real upper wrestling, like a Greco-style wrestling mindset. And it worked out phenomenally for me. I ended up being $400 richer that day. I got this cool sumo teacup set that I think is like the best part of the day. Has these sumo wrestlers on these teacups. I think it's amazing. And after that, they were all like, so are you going to continue sumo? Like, you're going to keep doing sumo, right? And I was like, you know what? I think it would be cool. And they're like, well, we have nationals in March in Florida. You should think about it. And I was like, okay, well, that sounds kind of cool. Because if I can tell somebody I'm a sumo national champion, like,
right,
I want to.
That sounds
right,
amazing.
so,
and like, nobody would believe you either.
Right, exactly. So I told my family members about it, kind of seeing if I should do it. They were like, oh my God, you should do it. My grandpa was like, I'll pay for your flight there. It's for Christmas. It's boom, Merry Christmas. I was like, all right, well, I'm doing it. Signed up for this sumo nationals. I actually took my boyfriend with me. We made it like a vacation out of it. And so it was cool because he was my professional mawashi kaier and videographer for the tournament. And I ended up becoming the 2023 middleweight national champ in March. And that qualifies me to represent the U.S. To go wrestle for the spot for the 2023 world champ in Japan.
Congratulations, first off. You are my first national sumo champion that I've ever interviewed. So
thank you so much. I am so honored. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Now, tell us about what happens over in Tokyo, because, I mean, okay, so I've been a pro wrestling fan my entire life, and obviously there have been a couple sumo people that have come over to like WWF or WWE, and they've done some things. One was a actual Samoan wrestler that was so large they just said he was from Japan and that he was a Yokozuna, which is a sumo grand champion, which he was not, obviously. But that was my first, I guess, way of getting into what sumo wrestling even was. So what happens actually over in Japan for these, for what you're trying to get into?
Right. So the thing about sumo and women's in sumo is that there's no...
Yeah, I didn't know that was a thing either. I didn't know women's sumo was even a thing.
Yeah, it is and it isn't. So it is as an amateur, it's an amateur sport, right? So like women's sumo is like a legit amateur sport. But there's no legit women's pro sumo wrestling. Because most of the pro sumo happens in Japan, and Japan doesn't have pro women's like at all. And so any women that are wrestling sumo are amateur sumo wrestlers. You can't be a pro sumo wrestler, but it's fine, whatever. But so that's one thing is like you're not going to see like well, you will see women from Japan, but you're not going to see like an amateur or pro distinction between like anybody at like Worlds where as you could with the men's. But it's still really cool. You show up and they have 2 days to weigh in, so thankful for people traveling internationally, And thankfully for me, my weight class is between 36 and 76, and I sit around 145, so that's an easy weight make for me. I don't have to cut or do anything. But you go in, you weigh in, you get your accreditation, which is like your little pass to go in the arena, and you go to where you gotta be. And it's like a clay doyo. So the doyo is like the circle that you actually are inside, that you do the sumo wrestling inside of, and it's on top of like a bed of clay. So I think that just alone adds a super cool element to it. Because in the States, we're doing it on like actual wrestling mat covers that have like a foam circle put on top of it or something like that. And these people are like actually doing it on top of clay. So that's cool. There's a lot of traditions that I'm not really aware of with sumo. I understand like how to enter into a match and how to exit a match, but there's apparently a whole opening ceremony where they're gonna legit throw salt and all their traditional.
Throwing salt's part of it. That's the one thing.
Yeah, they're gonna do that, but I don't even know how to do that. So I'm gonna follow the lead of everybody else. But I'm so excited to experience all of this. I'm gonna be there for a week. I actually compete one day out of the week, but I was able to take the week off. So I was like, dude, if I'm gonna go to Japan, I'm gonna make like a week of it. I'm not just gonna go for a couple of days. So I'm so excited to just see the culture of Japan and to try the food. The food is what I'm most excited about. Oh my god, I love food. Like ramen, I'm gonna eat so much ramen. I think it's going to be a trip of a lifetime, honestly. And I think I'm going to come back home a 2023 Sumo World Champ. I think it's going to be the coolest thing ever to have them announce over my fight walkout.
Yeah, that is, you'd be the first, right? Other than I think maybe the first or second UFC where there was a sumo wrestler, but I don't think that there was even a world champion. They were just a sumo fighter. Like, I don't think there's ever been another, let alone sumo world champion in MMA.
I actually don't know. That's a good thing to do some research on.
Yeah.
I know there are women sumo wrestlers that have been doing it for a long time, but I don't know if any of them, like I know of them because they're on the actual, world team with me.
Right.
But I don't know if any of them have won sumo worlds, at their weight class. I believe one of them might, but maybe not. I'm like looking it up right now, trying to find out. But it's a hard sport, and we've got super tough countries like Norway is one big contender. Poland is a big contender for the women's. Ukraine has a lot of like tough looking women. I've been scoping them out on Instagram, trying to see what I'm up against. And man, the U.S. like we're a strong looking team, but so are they. They're some strong looking ladies. So I'm excited to see like what the rest of the world has to offer in this wrestling style.
Yeah, I mean, okay, if people wanted to watch it, how would they watch it?
Oh, that is such a good question.
Okay. We could put it later in the show notes.
Definitely, and like if you guys follow me on Instagram at all, I will have it be posted on my Instagram for sure.
Okay.
Because I know my family are gonna want to watch it for sure. But I'm just excited to be there.
Well, obviously, ahead of time, the best of luck. And again, I hope to see, you come back as, we're going to say pro because there's no other pro, but the world sumo champion. I mean, that's, again, if you could have anybody announce you going out anywhere to that, that's the coolest thing on the planet.
Right? They're going to say, hold up.
Yeah.
Sumo?
That's one of those that you could, like, if you're at a bar or something, you're like, hey, I bet you that something you wouldn't guess, and you owe me a drink. It's like, oh, crap. There's no way I thought you were going to be a sumo world champion. I was not supposed to know that.
Right. I get throw that into, like, 2 truths and a lie.
Yes, exactly.
Yep. You're definitely right. And you gave me a good idea. I'm going to use that.
You can have it. It's fun. Also, you have to make, I mean, I don't know what your merchandise looks like, but if you don't have one of those as part of your merchandise, I think you're missing the boat.
Oh, man, I do need to get some merch soon because I've seen a lot of MMA fighters selling, like, their shirts and stuff. I'm like, wait a minute, I could be making money off of, like, T-shirts?
You could make so much money off T-shirts. It's ridiculous. Like, I would have a graphic designer on speed dial just so that, I say speed dial, like it's an old phone. You just call them or text them, like, hey, I have this idea, have them pull it up, and then, boom, put it on a T-shirt. People love that. And I think that the MMA world is missing a bit when it does come to merchandise and T-shirts, even stickers, like, or even pins or those little stupid collectible, like even Funko Pops. Like, people are just missing the boat on the merchandise for MMA. If I had the money, I would definitely invest big time.
Right. I don't think I've ever seen a UFC Funko Pop.
I mean, I haven't looked for them because I don't collect them because I know I'd have too many, but I don't think I've seen one of those either.
Whoa, I just looked it up. They have a Conor McGregor one and a Jose Aldo one.
That makes sense.
And a Ronda Rousey one. Okay, so they have a couple. Chris Weidman,
Okay.
John Jones. Okay, so some of the greats, Anderson Silva.
Well, who are some fighters that you were watching growing up and that kind of also inspire you now that we're on the subject of fighters?
Yeah, I wouldn't say inspire me now, but definitely influenced me growing up with Anderson Silva and Ronda Rousey.
Yeah,
I remember those were some of the first couple fights I remember that I remember watching with my dad and my brother. They loved UFC. They always watched the fights. And a couple of the fights that I really remember was I'm going on a blank here. Sorry, Anderson Silva against oh man, I can't remember who he went against. Was it Chris Weidman?
That was one of his. I think that was his first UFC fight.
But was it Silva versus Weidman?
Oh, Weidman. I'm sorry. The one where his leg snapped?
Yeah.
Sorry, that's what I'm thinking about. Yes, it was definitely not one of his first fights.
Yeah. Back in 2013, I remember that. Because I remember Weidman came and snapped his own leg recently, and that's what people were comparing.
It's so crazy.
Like, wow, he came back full circle.
I would love to talk to him. I mean, I would hate to bring that up because it sucks so much. But, like, again, can you, like, how many other people were on the receiving end of it and then also it happened to them? Like, no one. He's the only one.
He is the only one.
Yeah.
That is crazy. And very scary. And it actually reminds you a little bit that you need to be careful when you telegraph your kicks. For one, the kicks can't be telegraphed. And two, when you expect them to check, because both checks on both ends were, like, those occasions were some dirty checks, they were just stepped into checks. It wasn't like a pick the leg up check. So, it was they were bone breaking checks. And you can't be kicking hard at the bone breaking checks.
No. I can't believe that was 10 years ago. Now that I'm actually looking it up also. Like that is that's
crazy.
Bizarre.
Yeah, that is bizarre. Exactly 10 years ago, like this July.
Wow. Yeah, and then Weidman broke his leg in 2021. So bizarre. Anyway, what other what other fighters were inspiring to you? 'Cause I know